Hello and welcome to our show Health and Wellness, Myths versus Facts. I'm Gargi Rawat. The definition of health goes way beyond the absence of disease. The pandemic has put mental as well as physical health and wellness into sharp focus, and awareness of health issues is important for visibility in community. Now, diabetes, with its attendant acute and long-term complications and the myriad of disorders associated with it, is a major health hazard. In keeping with scenarios of most developing countries, India has long passed the stage of diabetes epidemic. The problem has now reached pandemic proportions. Diabetes myths lead to greater stigma and, most significantly, misunderstanding and misdiagnosis. Myths prevailing about diabetes in society have become a major hurdle for its proper treatment and control. Expert advice will help our viewers get the correct information and then act accordingly. Well, joining us on the program today, we have Dr. U. Venkata Krishna Rao, a diabetologist, Synergy Diabetes Specialty Clinic, Bengaluru, and also Dr. Chandni Jain, consultant at Dr. Jain Specialty, BSCS MG Hospital, Mumbai. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us on the program and taking time out to answer all our questions. Dr. Rao, first to you, the regular working hours of people are disturbed due to, work from home routine. It's disturbing the sleep routine of people as well. So does this affect glucose metabolism, and can it give rise to a new onset of diabetes?
Absolutely. Not only during the pandemic, much earlier also with the busy life schedules of ours, and amidst the constant notification which we live in, the sleep pattern of our society is changed a lot. We are not able to get the specified 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep nowadays. What happens is, when we do lose the quality sleep, we have various metabolic changes which occurs in our body, basically the neuroendocrine system, which deprivation of sleep leads to what is called as insulin resistance. And this insulin resistance not only increases our weight, which leads to obesity, it also pushes ourselves into a glucose dysglycemia or altered glucose metabolism, wherein our chances to become diabetic is quite enhanced. Some of the research says that at least in an younger population of around 40 to 45 years, just the lack of quality sleep can push us into a diabetic situation as high as 16%. So there is a clear association with irregular sleep behavior or a lack of sleep and the new onset diabetes.
All right, Dr. Jain, diabetes is a chronic progressive illness, so understanding how to recognize the symptoms is also key to maintaining a healthy blood sugar level. So what are some of the more uncommon symptoms of diabetes which people miss?
It's a very wonderful question, and if you ask me, it's rightly said. We know the three basic, everybody knows, there is an increase in thirst, increase in hunger, increase in urination. But the uncommon ones, which you can find it at home, which you can check it at home, is very important, is weight loss. You're having weight loss without anyone going on any diet or without doing any exercise, and still you're having weight loss. Probably you should need to get your sugar checked. Another very important for all the parents out there, if your child has a darkening around the nape of the neck, that is around the neck area, it is not your child has become tan or there is a discoloration. It is something called as acanthosis nigrans. It could be around the nape of the neck or around the armpit area or the groin area. This is a simple sign where the child may become obese in future and may get diabetes. Another very important is blurring of vision. If you have blurring of vision, besides meeting the ophthalmologist, you should definitely get your sugar tested done. Another important is an infection. It could be skin infection, fungal infection, or urinary infection. If you have again and again infection, probably it's time to get your sugar test tested. Very important another point is, if you have some wound or any cuts which is not healing fast, probably you should get your sugar tested. Another important is, you have your gums are swollen for a pretty long time, and there is a swollen gum, show to your dentist and to your diabetologist and get your sugar tested done. So these are some of the few uncommon points one should look at home to check for diabetes.
All right, swollen gums was not something I was aware of. Dr. Rao, what is the treatment approach for newly detected type 2 diabetes patients? Are there specific guidelines for it, and are these different for people who've been detected with diabetes post-COVID infection?
There are very clearly defined set of guidelines for managing diabetes. We have various bodies which have advocated, like the Research Society of Diabetes India or the ICMR. But what I want to draw today to the attention of the public is the cornerstone of diabetes management is mostly lifestyle. If we have a very clear insight into the lifestyle modification, which we need to adhere to, majority of the treatment of type 2 diabetes can be addressed with that. There are newer therapies which have evolved over the last few decades, newer molecules which have come into our practices. But whatever said and done, the foundation of treating a type 2 diabetic is always should be emphasized on a very beautiful lifestyle modification. By lifestyle, what I mean is a very couple of things. One, please be active. The second is have a healthy diet. In the diet, if I can elaborate, it's just a low carbohydrate, high plant-based diet. Now, coming to the COVID situation, an appeal would be to have a vaccination done from our end to all of the listeners. Second, the diabetes which is coming through the or secondary to the COVID has a different scenario. The treatment may not change largely, but what happens is some people who have been pre-diabetic or borderlinely diabetic are pushed into the diabetic scenario. Secondly, when we have been using a lot of steroids in the management of COVID situation, the steroid use can push somebody into diabetes. So the treatment regime has to be individualized depending on the need of an individual. But again, I want to re-emphasize the cornerstone of a management would be more and more emphasis on the lifestyle.
Dr. Jain, does insulin make you gain weight? What are the other methods to manage this increase in weight?
So if you ask me what is weight gain, it is eventually the amount of calories the body requires. If you are taking more than the required calories, definitely there is going to be weight gain. If you are taking less than the requirement, there is going to be weight loss. Definitely yes, with insulin there is a little weight gain. But said then, it doesn't mean that insulin is bad. It has much more benefits than just with a simple side effect of weight gain. And that is also you can control easily. There are a few tips, a patient for those who are on insulin can control their weight. It's simple. A, talk to your doctor, meet your nutritionist, plan out your diet, your schedule, the work pattern you're having. Accordingly, talk to the nutritionist so that we can set a proper goal. Second important point is see the number of calories you're eating. Nowadays, every package has the calories written behind, what are the carbs content, what are the protein content, so how much is the fiber. Read what you're eating. Third important point is please do not skip your meals. Skipping of the meals causes the next meal, whatever you're eating, is you're going to eat a lot of food, which will eventually cause weight gain and which eventually cause a high sugar. Fourth point is have a same meal pattern. What I mean to say is one day you're having 1 chapati, the another day you're having 3 chapati, next you're having nothing. Please don't do that. Keeping a same meal pattern will help the bringing the sugars also in normal level and keeping the weight also in the normal level. The very important point is please go for a 40 minutes of physical activity. Now that activity could be anything, running, swimming, jumping, dancing, whatever anybody likes. 40 minutes of regular exercise with a 15 to 20 minutes of resistance exercise will work wonders on the sugar and will help to maintain the weight also very well.
All right, so inculcate this physical activity in your daily lifestyle. Dr. Krishna Rao, people believe that type 1 diabetes is more serious type of diabetes and complications of type 1 are more serious. Is this correct?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no. Type 1 is a completely different kind of a condition where an individual ceases to make any insulin in his body, which is much different than a type 2 diabetic where you still are making good amount of insulin. You need some amount of support to enhance your secretion. The complication wise, an individual, either a type 1 or a type 2 can develop similar kind of complications. But what is more important or more apt is how do you manage the glucose? One who has a type 1 diabetes has to be ahead in time in keeping his glucose under beautifully controlled. The control, what I mean is to keep your HbA1c well within the goal of 7%. What happens when we keep this good glycemic control is we are able to prevent the complication which can arise because of diabetes. Commonly, the reason to treat a diabetic individual is not merely to get your glucose down, but to make sure that we don't allow you to land in any of the complications of diabetes, may it be the eye condition or your kidney condition or the foot conditions or the heart conditions. So it's not difficult if one individual is able to take care of his glucose well, that he will land up in complication. And type 1 is not a serious condition. People live a good quality of life, even being type 1 diabetic.
All right, so very important to keep, all this in mind in managing of diabetes and not be scared, because I think diabetes management is the key, to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. We'll slip into a short break and come back with more questions for the doctors. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Health and Wellness, Myths versus Facts, and we're discussing diabetes and how to manage it and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Let's go across to our doctors. Dr. Chandni Jain, it said that type 1 diabetes is juvenile diabetes and that type 2 diabetes is adult onset diabetes. If you could explain this to us, is this correct?
See, what is diabetes? Eventually, diabetes is a chronic disease, that occurs whether the pancreas is not able to produce the insulin at all, or when the body is not able to utilize the insulin produced by it. So in type 1 diabetes or a insulin dependent diabetes or a juvenile diabetes, or we say the childhood diabetes, is a diabetes where the pancreas is not able to produce the insulin at all. For such patients, we require insulin from outside. It is said to be juvenile because it is, we find it in the early childhood. Whereas type 2 diabetes is a diabetes where the body can produce insulin, but it is not utilized well. The amount of insulin which is produced, we are not able to utilize well. It is said to be a non-insulin dependent diabetes or an adult diabetes because its detection is later in stage. Said that, this time we are seeing in this present scenario, we are seeing more and more young individuals, young children in type 2 diabetes.
All right, Dr. Krishna Rao, is it just a myth that people with type 2 diabetes who need insulin therapy later go on to develop type 1 diabetes?
It's kind of a myth. It's not a very reality. What happens is, as the duration of an individual's diabetes is long enough, his requirement of more and more medications, apt control of the glucose doesn't occur merely with the tablets. Lifestyle tablets may not give you an adequate glucose control. That is the stage when we advise an individual to go on insulin. A type 2 diabetic individual merely taking insulin doesn't mean that he has gone into a type 1 diabetic kind of a situation. But what happens is, if an individual who's been diabetic for, let's say, 25, 30 years or so, his pancreatic secretion of insulin would be so low so that his dependency on the quantum of insulin will be a little on a larger scale. But the way the individual response will always be a small dose of tablets and the insulin, and the requirement of insulin will be way too different from an individual who is type 1 or a type 2 diabetic.
All right, Dr. Jain, now it's well known that there is no cure for diabetes. Diabetes can be controlled well. Is it possible, however, to reverse diabetes, and at what stage can we reverse it?
It's a very nice question. Definitely, yes, there is no cure for diabetes. But there are many studies which have shown that, you can bring the sugar to a normalcy level without medication, but with a very good diet control, physical activity and weight loss. We have seen many patients, we say it's something called as remission or a honeymoon phase, where the patient does not require medication. He is very well controlled only on diet, physical activity. Said that, it doesn't mean that your diabetes has gone forever, your sugar has been cured. It's a lifelong disease. It's an ongoing disease. And a wonderful question is, at what stage it can be reversed? The very important stage, the stage of acceptance that I have diabetes. The first very report when you get as the sugar, don't bury that report. Don't change the lab. Don't change the doctor. Don't take advice from your neighbor. You don't think that probably I ate last night too much or the party was too much, I ate too much sweets. Basically what I mean to say, do not go into the stage of denial. Just accept that I have diabetes, meet the doctor. Probably you may not even require medication, only with good diet control, weight loss and a lifestyle modification, the sugar can be controlled. So what I mean to say is, yes, diabetes can be reversed only and only if it is detected and treated as early as possible.
And doctor, what about if you get diagnosed with pre-diabetes? If you could, does the same thing apply for that?
Yes, it is for the same thing. If you are detected with the pre-diabetes thing, do not think, that probably there was Christmas, there was Diwali, I have eaten more, or I will walk for 3-4 kilometers a day. We are only doing that for just few days. Rather, going for the lifestyle modification should be for life. It should not only be for few months. So take a lifestyle modification which you can go. When the patient come for a pre-diabetes, they think, it is only on the borderline, I still have chance. When that cat will run away, you will not even know. So even for the pre-diabetes, meet your doctor at the right time. Treating at the right time is the really important thing. You can control the sugar very well and very fast.
All right. Dr. Krishna Rao, now if we talk about people who have this newly detected diabetes and even pre-diabetes, a question that they have very often is, can they drink alcohol? So what advice do you give such people?
It's a very common question posted to us very frequently. Categorically, I want to say that any amount of alcohol is prohibited in the general health. But having said that, the regulatory guidelines from the National Institute of Nutrition or anywhere across the globe, they allow an individual to have a hard liquor of 1 or 1.5 serving a day, or a light liquor of around 330 ml, which I mean by beer of around 330 ml per day. It doesn't mean that I don't take through the week and I binge in the weekends. So very moderate intake of alcohol is allowed a little bit in diabetic management, but be sure that you don't binge on that.
All right, so in moderation, basically. Dr. Chandni Jain, is it compulsory for people with diabetes to wear diabetic-friendly shoes, and what are the advantages of this?
See, definitely yes. First, it is not mandatory or compulsory for anyone to wear a diabetic footwear. Diabetic, very rightly said, diabetic-friendly footwear is important. What I mean to say, the footwear should be comfortable. It should not be too tight, it should not be too loose. Because, in patients with diabetes, for a later stage when they go, the peripheries become weak. They will have a little less sensation, and we want to protect the feet forever. We want to avoid any blister formation or any callus formation, for that matter, for the overall protection of the feet. Now, when we are talking about diabetic footwear as per se, basically if anybody has deformities, it basically, gives a very well overall pressure, helps in maintaining. It basically helps to stabilize, accommodate and support these deformities. It avoids any kind of friction which can be caused. The wear and tear can be maintained. And a very important point is, for any diabetes, diabetic footwear is really very important, and it should be diabetic friendly for the reason we do not want to land up into diabetic foot ulcer, and we don't want to land up into amputation of the foot. So your footwear should be comfortable, and it should be, as rightly said, friendly to your leg.
All right, Dr. Krishna Rao, we're coming out of the pandemic, or we're still in the midst of the pandemic, but there's talk that a lot of people who had COVID have gone on to develop diabetes. Now, was it because of the medication? Was it because of the illness? If you could explain that to us.
There's a couple of kind of association for the people who have gone through the COVID and become diabetic. Per se, the viral infection can lead an individual to become diabetic. This is because of the COVID infection. Second, the kind of medication which we have used is also pushing ones who have been in the borderline stage into a diabetic scenarios. Yes, there have been quite a good number of new onset diabetes post-COVID, and people have to be cognizant of that and to have a roadmap to keep it in check and take control of their sugars.
All right, and finally, Doctor, Jain, if we diabetes is described as this lifestyle disease, but it does really seem that in the last couple of years, we've really seen a lot more cases of diabetes coming out, and many of you doctors describe it like we're on the brink of a disaster in terms of the advent of diabetes in the population. So if you explain why this is.
If you honestly ask me, diabetes has always been there. Now the people are becoming more and more aware of their health. They want to see that they remain fit. But past few years, what are we really seeing is one big change is the easy availability of food. Even if at 2 o'clock I want to have night anything, I just have to call and the food should be outside my door. So, this sedentary lifestyle, work from home pattern, binging at any hour, getting the food at any hour has become a chance where, the patient or people are getting more and more, to basically becoming obese and getting diabetes. More than that, what has happened, I'll tell you, because of the fear in the COVID era to step out of the house. There are many individuals that stopped going for a good walk. I have many patients who got scared they will get diabetes, they'll get COVID if they step out of the house. So during these 2 years, especially during these 2 years, people have stayed inside the home, eaten a good amount of food, has cooked enough, everybody has become chefs, everybody wanted to bake. So they are eating more and exercising less. This is the reason why, the chances of diabetes is getting more and more, even in the young individuals.
All right, so that is something to watch out for. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us on the program and answering all those questions for us to help manage our health better. And if you do have diabetes, as the doctor said, don't be scared, just manage it better. That's all the time we have. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.